Hey everyone, welcome home. Thank you so much for joining me for the first ever episode of the Welcome Home podcast. Over here, we're going to be talking all things property, from renovations to mortgages, all the way to interiors and how to dress your home. Now, I'm here to learn just as much as you are, so I am so excited for our interviewing an expert episodes where we'll be talking to estate agents, property developers, and even mortgage brokers. Today, we'll be talking to Victoria. She recently purchased her first home, which is a new build. So I want to find out about her experience and the highs and lows that come along with it. Hello Victoria, thank you so much for coming in. So I feel like we should give the people a bit of context before we get going.
Sure.
So we went to school together.
Yep.
Didn't we?
Yes.
So we've been friends since we were like, 12?
Yeah, coming on 14 years.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah. So you reserved your house, which happens to be a new build, in, was it December 2019?
March 2021.
What?
No, 2020.
2020. Wait, I thought you reserved in December.
I reserved, long story. I reserved in October.
Right, 2019.
2019.
Yes. Okay.
A different house. New build, but different.
Okay.
Still where in the local area, but it was in a different development. And we reserved there and we were going to go forward with that. There just wasn't an actual feel to the house. I think everything that I was looking for, I think it was the excitement of me wanting my first house, and I looked at that and we had gone looking around different developments.
Okay.
So we travelled to look at these different developments,
yes.
To see what was coming up. And we found this one called Morris Homes. Okay. So we loved that. And then we knew what was coming up in our area.
Yeah.
So we signed up, and then we had the day to go there, and then reserved the house there and then. Hadn't even seen the house.
Oh my God.
So we had to travel about 40 minutes away the next day.
Yeah.
Because that was a plot that we wanted, to have a look and see what that house sort of looked like at a different site.
Yeah.
We loved it. And we were like, yes, let's go for that. Perfect. So went ahead with it, got the mortgage advisor rolling. And as time went on, I just kept saying to my boyfriend, oh, but this, what about this? I really wanted a breakfast bar.
Okay.
Desperate for a breakfast bar. Yeah. And when we spoke to the lady, obviously the house hadn't even been built.
No.
And I said, can we put a breakfast bar? She said, no, we're not able to do that. And I said, right, okay. And another thing, obviously this is just personal preference.
Yeah.
I wanted the French doors from the kitchen diner as opposed to the living room.
I get that.
Because we don't want to be walking in and out.
No.
And that's what we had at my boyfriend's old house, because he owned the house.
Right.
So I think from living at his, we were able to then see what we wanted for our house.
Yeah.
So then it was just coming up, and that living room went out to the garden, and there was things cropping up, and I just thought, are we spending this amount of money on something that we're then adding about £40,000 to change everything?
Wow.
On a brand new house?
Yeah.
But we'd already paid.
You'd actually paid.
We'd paid this reservation fee, and then a percentage towards the optional extras.
Okay.
Because we chose it all. And something wasn't right. And it was coming up to December, and I said, I just want to have a look at some of the houses. And I rang up the Persimmon site, which, I'm not going to lie, they don't have a good reputation.
No.
They've been in the press. But we saw the positives and thought, because they've been in the press about their bad reputation, this new site and all new sites, they really needed to get that reputation to a higher standard. So if anything, worked in our favour.
I get that thinking. It's like they've been in, so everyone's going to be looking at them. So this time they're not going to mess it up.
Exactly.
So I've got to ask, why a new build?
Do you know what? I never thought I'd buy a new build.
Okay.
I didn't. My parents had a new build. That's what I've always lived in. I've never moved around or anything. So a lot of my friends said, oh, you're buying a new build because you've been used to a new build.
Yeah.
I wanted a cottage.
What? That's so different to what you ended up with.
I have never wanted like a townhouse or anything like that personally, but I would never not go for it. What I thought I had in my head was this cute little cottage in a village.
Yeah.
But my boyfriend's house was a new build.
Okay.
And he got to pick everything. So I wanted that experience for myself. My first house, I wanted to pick everything brand new with my boyfriend.
I get that. So it's your space.
Exactly.
So you found this persimmon site. And what happened then?
So I found this persimmon site. I said to my boyfriend, there is a house and I found this plot and it's a southwest facing garden, because that was what we were very much set on. It has to be south facing. So I said, there's a few of them and I want to go look at it. And he said, well, we can pull out of the other house. We don't need to rush this, that and the other. And I said, no, I've got a feeling about this house.
Did you start to feel a bit trapped in your other reservation?
Yes, I felt sick.
Was it the icky stomach feeling where you're thinking this isn't right?
I thought, what have I done? I have rushed into something here.
Yeah.
And we're not talking, I've gone and spent £100 on something that I didn't need. It's not that at all. It's a commitment. Yeah. So this other house was £20,000 less.
Oh my goodness.
So the persimmon one was £20,000 less and a bit bigger in size.
And I assume it had the doors.
It had the doors. It had... So, I'll get into it. I basically rang up and I said, look, I want to view this house. And she said, we don't actually have any show homes on site. But there is somebody moving in a week's time. So would you like to see that house? It's fully carpeted, floored. It's not got any furniture in, obviously. I said, that's perfect. A blank canvas with, flooring. I'm not walking around and seeing concrete. It's much easier to imagine. So my boyfriend had an appointment and I said to my friend, she worked with me, and we basically went to view it. And we looked at each other and it ticked all the boxes. And I said, this breakfast bar, because I could see the floor plan online, but it just showed the floor. It didn't show what anything in it.
Okay.
Whereas I know a lot of them that have a kitchen, it will show where the breakfast bars are, where the fridge would go. It didn't do that. I said, is this breakfast bar an upgrade? She said, no, they all come like that.
Oh my God.
And I said, oh my goodness, I love this. And then I went in, she said, just go through that door, through the kitchen. There was a utility.
No way.
And I said, what's this door? She was like, it's like a pantry. And I just lost it. I was looking at my friend and I said, it's meant to be.
So in your first home, you got a pantry, a breakfast bar, and a utility room.
And the French doors.
Oh my goodness.
It just ticked all the boxes. Went upstairs, absolutely loved it. All double bedrooms, three double bedrooms. So it was just perfect. And I looked at my friend, she looked at me and said, this is exactly what you've said.
Yeah.
And I rang my boyfriend and he said, go for it. I said, you need to see this house. He said, no, I trust you. I said, I'll send you the video over. And he replied saying, I absolutely love it. We need to have this house. Because I went there wanting to hate it. I really honestly wanted to hate it. I thought, I need to hate this house and know that I have made the right decision in the other one. As soon as I saw that, I said, pull out. And he said, it doesn't matter what we lose. We've not paid a significant amount at all. And we've got it.
So you then reserved that house?
Yes. Reserved that house the next day. So obviously I already knew the process. I knew I needed to ring the mortgage advisors for them to then send over a decision in principle.
Yes.
To say that we were able to have that. So I got straight on the phone and sourced all of that out. I then I rang the Persimmon site and said, this is what I've done. She said, I have received this. You can go ahead and reserve. But we actually decided, we put my boyfriend's house up for sale.
Yes.
But with the one with Persimmon, we thought, why don't we do a part exchange?
Okay.
So, and honestly, I would 100% do that in a heartbeat.
Was it easy?
I couldn't complain about it. All we had to do was the estate agents rang us up and said, when are you available for viewings? And I said when we were, and we had to be seen to be very welcoming to people.
Yeah.
We couldn't just say, no, you can't come round at this date, because that's not fair on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was as stress-free as it could be for selling a house.
Absolutely. So a lot of people love to tear down new builds, and there's a lot of negativity towards new builds. And in the area we live in, we're in Northamptonshire, there's been a lot of expansion, a lot of properties over the last, probably I'd say, 8 years?
Yeah, definitely.
And generally in our area, people are buying new builds, aren't they? Especially for first homes. So what did your friends and family say when you told them that you were buying a new build? Did any of them have any opinions?
All of my family, who have actually basically moved on to my estate now.
I love that.
I know. I did force my sister. I did force her, but they were all for it. Absolutely loved it. They said the location of the Persimmon one was 10 times better than the other one. It was on a main road. It was opposite a crematorium. It was opposite the hospital. So there was a lot going on.
Traffic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the roads hadn't even been built to see, we didn't know how it was going to flow.
Right.
Where we are now is off a road leading down to a village. Oh. So it's in between two villages. So it's really not bad with traffic at all. But a couple of my friends did question my decision, which I'm all for. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion.
We're not having tea in episode 1 of the Welcome Home podcast.
Sorry. A couple perhaps made comments that it put a negative sort of side to it, and I was driving, I was so excited, and a couple of them said, I would never buy a new build, and it's fine. You don't have to. You don't have to buy a new build, but I didn't need to hear it in that time. No. But everyone loves my house now, and everybody says, it's amazing, and they love coming round, so...
Yeah. Okay, I mean, I feel like that's fair. I understand that. I feel like people have really strong opinions on new builds. And I mean, I've grown up living in relatively new properties, so I wouldn't know any different. But definitely I think friends that have grown up maybe in more characterful properties are the ones that are like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
But no, I love your house. I think you've really turned it into a home.
Yeah.
So you reserved?
Yes.
What happened next? What was that journey from reservation to completion? How long did that take? What did you get to see the house being built?
Yes. So we weren't allowed on site for ages. And I was a bit upset because I made my house Instagram.
Yes, so
love that.
_ our Hatfield home.
Yes.
Is your Instagram. Yeah. You're on 3999.
Am I? That's so annoying. That's so annoying. Oh, I'm going to go home and make an account. I'm joking. So I made that because I was so excited about my journey.
Yes.
So I wanted to document it all.
Of course.
I'm all for memories, so that's what I decided to do. And I actually found my neighbours. Well, they found me. So I used to hashtag where we were.
Yes.
And I got a couple of messages saying, I'm from this estate.
Oh my gosh.
And some that had already moved in, they could see my house being built, so they sent me updates.
No way.
And I already made friends before it, so I loved that.
You know what? That is really crazy because these days people date through apps.
Yeah.
And we make friends, like Bumble. You can make friends on Bumble and not date. And you've just met your neighbours through an app.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I met my next door neighbour through the app. It was unreal.
Wow, what a community.
I know. And we all still speak now, and it was so lovely. And I think that helped a lot with moving in during lockdown because we already knew each other through Instagram.
So how long were you not able to see the process? Because I'm assuming when you reserve your plot, had it started being built at all?
Yes. Gosh, what was it? The roof was just about to be put on.
Right.
And there was a couple that we could choose from.
Okay.
And I said, I need to see this plot.
Yeah.
So we were able to go on and see the plot then. And then, because it was behind railings, because the road hadn't been built.
Okay.
But as the process went further along, it then meant that we couldn't go on site because we weren't allowed in until everything was in.
Right.
But because obviously I have Instagram and I'm seeing other people go on the same journey, different Persimmon sites, they were allowed on. And I said, come on, I'm seeing these people. So I did push, and I think we got to go on about 2 weeks earlier.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah, that's so worth it.
And I cried. The first time I went in, I cried. So we had all the official reservation December the 21st. So that was all in writing, and then it was just, we kept getting updates every month of what it was, even though we always drove up on a Saturday or a Sunday. We drove up, let's go see the house, let's go see the house, and just peered out the car.
Oh.
But and obviously I got my updates from Instagram, so that was really, really nice.
Yeah.
So
did you get to make your own choices in this house like you did with the first
Yes.
one? It wasn't too far along.
No, it wasn't too far along, but I cried.
Why?
I cried in the sales office. I love shaker style. So going back to I wanted a cottage, this, that, and the other. I do love modern houses, but I also love that old aspect to it.
Yeah.
And I loved shaker style, and I loved the kitchen I picked in my first house, well, that we were meant to have. And then when our Persimmon site hardly had anything. It was all flat, shiny kitchen. Again, this is personal preference. I think it looks really, really nice in homes. It's just not what I would pick.
Yes.
And I said, I don't really like any of these. And I said, I know your Northampton site has other things, and all these other sites that I've seen people have on Instagram. Is there any chance that I could pay to have it delivered in? She said no.
You sound like such a diva. I love it.
Oh, I do. But I thought, I'm paying amount of money for this house. I want what I want.
So you should, yeah.
And I said, is there any chance, I'll pay extra? She said, unfortunately, we can't sign it off because site has, say, 7 different choices. We can't sign off anything that's not available on our site, which I understand.
Yeah.
But I cried. I didn't have a full-on meltdown, but I had tears in my eyes, and I thought, because I really didn't like these kitchens.
Yeah, and I feel like, especially your first home, you've saved up firstly.
Yes.
And then you've always, I think we all have this image in our head of what our first home will be like. And not even what it will look like, but us in that home. And then in the background, you can see these cupboards in the kitchen, and maybe they're not gloss cupboards. Yeah. And then it's like, this is not what I envisioned.
100% that.
So would you change your kitchen?
Yeah, we're looking at changing it.
And how you've been in a year.
But that's the other issue, because we could pay extra. There was a few other extras that we could have.
Yeah.
But I said none of them are me. So why are we paying £1,000, I think it was, for these other things that look slightly better, but it's still not me, when we're going to pay £2,000 for what we really want. That extra £1,000, that's a lot of money. So, and I think what made it worse was I picked a dream kitchen in my other home.
Oh my goodness.
And because I had to weigh it up. I would much prefer my house than that kitchen in the house that I didn't want.
Yes.
And we've not done it yet, but that's because we had other priorities to pay for within the house. We've already got a working kitchen. Yes, it's not the best choice that we would have picked.
But it's still a gorgeous kitchen. So did you get to go in, so you said you got to go in 2 weeks earlier to see the house?
Yes.
So what happened then? So you're, 2 weeks before completion, was that?
No, it was, I think it was a month before completion. It was just I pressed for it to go in, but it was when the kitchen was in.
Right.
So I don't think at that point the oven had been fitted, but mostly everything was in.
And did they take you, before you completed, did they take you for like a walkthrough or all things like that to kind of see everything?
That's a week before completion that they did that.
Okay, and how was that?
That was fine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was lovely. We met the site manager, who we get on so well with, and yeah, that was brilliant. And when we went for that, so turf is an optional extra. Okay. And we got quoted quite a lot. And my boyfriend's friends, they were all in trade, so we thought, no, don't worry, we can get this all sorted. So we said no to that. Anyway, when we went for our walkthrough, there was turf everywhere, and we thought, oh, brilliant! They've thrown it in, this, that, and the other. Something must have happened.
Yeah.
My neighbours moved in 4 days before me, and they sent me, like I said, we've met through Instagram.
Yeah.
They sent me a message and said, you don't have turf anymore. And I said, pardon? I've spoken to them about turf. I do have turf. I've seen it.
What?
And they sent me a photo, and my garden had been ripped up.
No.
And I thought, what a waste. Why would they not ring me and say, look, we've made a mistake here. just pay for the labour time of it, or just pay for because they're going to have their labour time of getting it taken up again. Just, whatever.
And it's not unheard of for new builds to throw in extras like that if maybe they've run over time-wise.
Yes, definitely. But no, we didn't get a phone call. And I remember making that post. Do you know what, Emily? That was one of the worst weekends of my life.
Really?
It genuinely was.
Yeah.
Friday, I'm going to get emotional thinking about it. On the Friday at 5 to 5, so this is lockdown.
Yeah.
Boris announced that we were going into lockdown, this, that and the other. So the Friday comes, I'm moving on the Tuesday.
Right.
The Friday comes, 5 to 5, everything's closing. We get an email from Persimmon to say no moves are going ahead until Boris announces something else. So I'm trying to get on the phone. Of course, it's 5 o'clock. Everyone's gone home now.
So you've got no turf. Now you're querying whether you're actually going to be able to move in.
Yeah.
And this is your first home.
Yeah. And I had, everything set up to move. We've got vans sorted, this, that and the other. I thought, what on earth is going on? And I did have a meltdown and I just cried and cried.
I'm not surprised. So Tuesday you were due to complete. Mm-hmm. So completion day comes, and what was supposed to be the best day of your life so far, I'm guessing wasn't.
No. And the worst thing, I'm very, as you know, family orientated. I couldn't go give my mum a hug. I didn't live with my mum. I wasn't allowed to see my mum. Luckily, I lived a 10-minute walk away, and I walked to the top of the drive, and I burst into tears. And she opened the door, and I burst into tears. I couldn't talk, and I can't go down and see you. One, because it's not safe. Two, if I did, the neighbours would probably have seen. But, and I think that is something that, was hard through lockdown. But on the Saturday, luckily, I got hold of Persimmon,
right,
the regional manager. And I said, look, what is going on here? We've part exchanged. You haven't sold our house yet. It's still on the market. We're moving in. We've got everything sorted. We are able to do it by ourselves. We can cancel the companies. We can, sort it out with a close family friend. Mm-hmm. She said, let me get back to you, put me on hold. The longest hold of my life.
I can't even imagine.
She came and said, Victoria, are you happy to move on Tuesday? I said, yes, more than anything. I would move right now. She said, if you're happy, because we haven't sold your house, it means that there's no chain. So no one would be moving into a house on that day that hadn't been deep cleaned. Obviously, the house we were moving into was no one had ever been there before. So it didn't break any rules.
What a relief.
And I cried again, and I thought, thank goodness for that.
Yeah.
And I went to B&M that day because everywhere had shut. Everywhere had shut, and I thought, I made sure it was an essential trip. And I bought a load of paint because Wickes had shut, B&Q had shut.
Wow.
You had to order, but then it was like 14 days or something. You couldn't click and collect. So I went and bought a load of paint. So at least then on the Tuesday that we moved in, we had things to do.
Absolutely.